Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the best podcast in the world. Or at least I'm going to say it to you, believe it. This is the State of the Nerd Union. We've got the whole pantheon of people who actually care about this thing and show up here tonight.
Sorry, Kyle.
That's right. That was Kenneth Ship in the background, who's back to being a co-host. You're no longer a special guest.
Thank you, Zach.
Trevor Law joining us from Awkward Town, USA.
I'm not that awkward. Who's your good puppy?
Dude, you're like the mayor of Awkward Town.
And that right there is Jerry Maynard from his POS phone.
He meets at his point of sale, guys. He does 10 transactions. Okay.
Yes, let's not even bullshit around it. Come on, man. This is Zach Nichols, by the way, and we're talking about Avengers Age of Ultron. You know, that one big movie that has came out and made bukus of money.
The Ultroniest of ages.
Before we say bukus of money, how much is one buku? Like, what is the monetary value or goat value of one buku?
One buku is how much money that Kick-Ass or Punisher Warzone made. So it made like 42 bukus.
And 5 bukus are a crap ton.
Exactly.
Okay.
But we still didn't hear I still didn't hear the goat conversion. So how's that work?
What's the conversion into goat?
Okay, so that's actually a bit
old school
easier because that's sort of like the metric system, and what we're doing is the normal American version. So when you start factoring in goats, that's sort of what they use in other countries. You know,
I like to
But if we're
call
gonna
it.
have like
They
the
made
best podcast in the world, we gotta translate into the rest of the world terms, right?
no, we're American. People translate to ours.
Damn right.
Oh, right. With our metric system, I forgot.
So let's
Everybody
get to
does that.
Avengers
All right.
before we go on and on about all that kind of crap. Avengers. It happened. I've seen it twice. Anybody else seen multiple views?
Twice.
Just seen it once.
I'm going this weekend again.
Yeah. All right. General impressions. Hit me with it. Overall, we're going for a scale of 1 to 10. 1, that's Daredevil 2003 with Ben Affleck. 10, Dark Knight. Where are we sitting on this thing?
I think it rates an 8.5.
Yeah.
Really, like, overall, a very good movie. I do think I agree with the critics at large, which is their number one complaint is it's a great movie, but it overall has too much going on. And I think that is a flaw of the movie, that it's just introducing so many different things that it slows it down a bit and it breaks up the movie a bit. But overall, it's, you know what? I still didn't care most of the time. And I was all like, yeah, I'm into it. Let's do this.
All right, Kenny, scale it. What do we got?
Yeah. I'll give it an 8. I don't know if I'll do 8.5 or like that, but yeah, I'll just do it 8. Very solid. I agree with the critics there too. Is that seemed like there's too many moving parts. I did like that it seemed like they were compensating for the previous movie, and like and I won't go into specifics on some characters right now, but some characters got better screen time in this movie compared to the first one. So I was glad to see that, it's like, hey, we know that person got shortchanged a little bit, but we're going to try to work it in. The only problem is you got more characters coming in having little spots and cameos. But again, that's just a product of this movie. So for them to assemble and be like that, you're going to have those trade-offs. So I'm not going to ding it and make it like a 6 or 7 because of that. But I think that's really one of the only things holding it back. But yeah, pretty solid overall.
Yeah.
Jerry.
I'm gonna give it a 9 because I just thoroughly enjoyed the crap out of that movie, and I'm gonna see it probably 2 more times, and I'm gonna buy it on DVD when it comes out, or Blu-ray, whatever I decide to buy it on. But I give it a 9 instead of a 10 because of a couple of points. Just first time watching the movie, I had some questions as to plot decisions. Why didn't this character do this, or this doesn't make sense for this reason, which we'll go into discussion to later.
All right, and I'm giving it about a 7.5.
Ooh.
It was good. It was fun. But honestly, my main complaint is when I compare it to the original, the one right before it, there's a piece of the magic that's just missing for me. And I can't put my finger on it. But when you watch that first one, there's just something magical happening. Something different. And then the second one, it's more the same, but a piece of that magic is gone. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it.
Might I suggest
I do have a suggestion as to what was two things that were probably missing from this movie.
Yeah.
And this doesn't spoil anything.
Which, by the way, spoiler warning.
Yeah, this doesn't spoil anything, though. One,
Not spoiled.
no Loki.
Always a flaw.
And he was such an enjoyable part of the first movie. And I think James Spader is excellent. Oh God, I loved him so
Oh yeah,
much.
for sure.
Loved him so much. But he does not have the same level of chemistry with the cast that Tom Hiddleston did. The other is, the more I'm reading about this, is that Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel, and Josh Whedon had a bit of tension. And I don't think Josh Whedon had the same level of joy he did with Age of Ultron as he did with Avengers.
That might have affected it. I could see that being a
Yeah.
piece of it.
Because he was talking about that this week, as far as tension for future projects and why he wouldn't go and do the next two. But yeah, I definitely agree on that.
So, let's move on to... by the way, spoiler warning. We are going to spoil the crap out of this movie. You haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this.
Yeah, after this point, spoilerific.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to say one thing about
Feelings
the
get hurt.
magic, though.
all right, Jerry, Magic, go.
The last movie is the first time you've ever seen that many superheroes on film in a good movie together that were well-known heroes. That's never, ever going to happen again in any other instance. That was the first time ever that we've seen anything like that. So, of course, part of that magic is going to be gone. You're not going to be able to experience that. So that's something you just have to give credit to.
That actually could be it, too.
Yeah. Well, I
But
think,
then again, it's like the first Avengers is not the best movie in the world, but a lot of
No,
it's
not at
gleamed
all.
over because of that magic. So then the problems in this movie just stuck out even more.
That
Right.
That is also true.
All right,
I
so
do think it had less problems in the first one, though.
we're gonna get to
But
that.
that's just,
Let's
we'll
get to
get
that then. Let's start with the characters.
We'll get into that.
Trevor brought up James Spader, Ultron, performance. Let's go with that one. Let's start there.
Oh God, he was amazing. I loved it. Loved it so much. I love James Spader. He's in this terrible show right now called The Blacklist. Makes no sense. It's utter gibberish. I watch it for him, and hit his level of performance carries over to that. And he was just freaking nuts the entire movie. Ultron was bat for brains crazy, and I loved it. I loved watching it.
Yep.
It was a treasure.
Yep.
just excellent writing for him. I could say that for all the characters that Whedon was pumping out there. But yeah, I wasn't sure how they were going to portray him at all because, again, my background with Ultron's not that deep. So I'm just going off some of the shows I've seen him on. Was it Earth's Mightiest Heroes version? Was it the Avengers movie cartoon version? Trying to think what else. So my impression of him hasn't been that huge, but I really liked how he portrayed it. So I don't know how true that is to comic form, or not that it really matters, but I liked it. Very witty.
Overall, I really enjoyed most of his performance, especially that opening monologue about whenever he's going on about the strings, and especially the way they portrayed him in the trailers. And I was kind of disappointed the first time I actually watched the movie. I was actually disappointed in his performance. Because
Really? How come?
the way the trailers made it seem that he was going to be in that first monologue, he has this very larger-than-life, maniacal, megalomaniac feel to him. Especially in the way that he speaks. And that's the main thing. Is that
Okay.
he has this very long, drawn-out speech that he has. And I mean long and drawn-out in the way that he performs it. And he always seems that he's elevated himself above the other people. So as the movie goes on, he starts to talk more and more like a normal person. And that's the point that just start to disappoint me.
I could see that.
Because he has this
Okay.
very above, elevated feel. And then all of a sudden he's like, but guys, let's do this over here. Or whenever they're asking him, are you going to do something, or you're going to destroy the world? He said, no, I'm going to save it. But yeah, I'm going to do that too. Little things like that where he just, it brings himself down. And it
Or
just
when
feels
Hulk
disappointing.
grabs him and he says, "Oh, come on."
Stuff like that, where just little things that are normal person-like activities or, phrases, that squeak out through it that just, to me, it brings down his performance.
That
right.
made me like him even more because it
Yeah.
sort of added to this sense of this is an incredibly powerful being who thinks he's a person, who acts like he's a person, and is crazy.
Well, and here's the thing that I really liked about it. Like, I really like his performance in that movie and Ultron's his character, because at the very beginning of the movie they established the fact that Tony Stark wants to create an AI. He wants to literally create an artificial intelligence that's supposed to think like a person and be a person, but it's artificially created. And it is the difference between Jarvis and Ultron. Jarvis is a likable character in the movies, but he's still a robot. Like, you can tell he's a robot. Ultron is supposed to be an intelligence that's supposed to be like a person, which Ultron, despite the crazy, is still likable. Like, he still got his character. He still is a person in the midst of being a robotic thing. And I think they wanted to establish that very early on in the movie, and I think they did a good job of establishing the difference between Ultron and every other robotic thing that's ever been in the Avengers universe currently.
Yeah,
Even with the introduction of Vision, Vision is completely different than Ultron.
well, no, that's kind of the point, is that Vision and Ultron aren't different. They're actually, the only difference between Vision and Ultron is that Ultron had a malfunction in his brain, like in his program. That's it.
It's
Right.
more of a difference of theology. It's like the difference
No.
between Batman and Punisher.
No. There's no difference in theology. Ultron's crazy.
Well, I mean-
He really doesn't see the difference between saving and destroying the world.
Well, I mean, like, when I say that, I mean the difference between, like, the characters being, like, okay, so you have Jarvis, who is the robot. You have Ultron, who is trying to be who is the closest thing to a person that we've ever seen in a robot. And then we have Vision, who is supposed to be the combination of the two that is the perfect evolution.
I think y'all are like, and I guess this goes into sort of a problem with the movie, maybe, because I was not clear at all as to what the crap Ultron was when he was made. And I
Well,
was,
apparently it was supposed to be an AI that's the peacekeeping task force.
Yes.
One that can just play the chess game for you
yes,
and will defend the
Right.
world.
but like the only problem was that he malfunctioned. Like that's it. That's all Ultron is he is a tool that got broken and could not be fixed. And that tool just happened to be an incredibly advanced AI that had the ability to self-replicate and wanted to destroy the world. So, that.
And this,
That's been one of the conversations that, let's say if we actually got to the place where we had computer storage that'd be able to hold whatever it would take to create an AI, and the processing power is that once you start running iterations, that was really cool. I liked when they showed that, and they showed there's like iteration failing, because there's been a spot that once you start getting, you start testing it, and let's say like you were going to delete one, and you thought like, all right, this one's not working well, so you delete it. Well, if the thing has actually gained consciousness, what's to stop you from actually deleting it? How do you create safeguards and so on and so forth? Like, I wonder if Tony had even thought that far to, which leads to the fight that Jarvis has inside the system as he's trying to contain it. Jarvis was supposed to be the one to contain it, and Cap explains that. But yeah, it's definitely a malfunction, and explains his later things too. Like when he's stumbling over his words and can't. He's trying to think of the word for a child
Yeah.
in the first scene.
yeah.
So, overall, Ultron was one of the stronger parts of the movie, I thought. The only weak part
Yeah,
about
same.
him was his creation a bit, because that seemed a bit rushed. But other than that, I think Ultron was one of the stronger parts.
I'm on the opposite side of the fence. I think that he was good. It could have been better.
Okay.
Let's talk about other characters then. Other highlighted characters of the film. Can we start with Hawkeye?
Yes.
That hot guy.
Kenny, I think you actually
Super
mentioned,
radar.
you talked to me a lot about Hawkeye.
Yeah, I really liked how they stepped up his. Hey, people were really confused that he had a wife. I don't understand why people got confused on that.
Who was confused?
I was talking to some people at work. Like, what's confusing about that? He was in a spy organization and didn't want his family involved. like you're talking about high levels of like we're not even talking about CIA level. Like they're dealing with some crap nobody wants to actually deal with. Like so, like that totally made sense to me. And the two scenes where he plays off like acting like he doesn't have a girlfriend, and then a little comment to Cap were really good. And then I really liked his banter with Quicksilver. I thought that was really good how they played that up throughout the movie. Like he's constantly getting irritated by the kid he can't hit yet. Yeah. And again, I was really glad they bumped up his screen time in this movie compared to last one.
All right.
Oh, which I'm disappointed, but I'm the first one that I've heard say this. But am I the only one who thought Quicksilver was really kick ass?
Oh gosh.
He was okay. He wasn't as cool as Quicksilver and X-Men.
Well, we gotta stay on Hawkeye. I got opinions on Hawkeye before we get on to.
Okay,
Sorry,
we'll get
continue.
there.
All right, either y'all have other opinions on him?
No, I didn't care about
Hawkeye. I do. Okay, I like that he had more screen time, but I felt like it was a little bit like forced. Like they were trying really hard to make you care about Hawkeye. His personality is still kind of one-dimensional, in my opinion. Like I get that he's trying to hide his wife and stuff like that, and he's as part of a super secret spy organization. But as far as like the fleshing out of the character, they have not done as good as a job with him as they have with Black Widow.
I disagree completely.
Really?
I love Hawkeye in this movie, mainly because he feels like the most well-rounded character in it. Like he's the one who's actually attained some kind of balance for his life, and that he completely separates the two worlds. He is the ideal that all the other ones are trying to strive for, and that you finally figured it out.
Yeah, and it makes it better because he is the weakest of them too.
Exactly. He's the one. All he has is a bow and arrow. But when you find that scene and you go there and like all of a sudden he's got a wife and kids and everything, and everyone else is kind of looking around like, isn't this what we're trying to do? And this guy's already done it. And then once you just see the difference in performance between him talking to the Avengers and then whenever he's just sitting around talking to his wife about normal everyday stuff, like just putting on a freaking farmer plaid jacket, very almost Superman-ish, in the essence of being a normal, down-to-earth kind of person in his downtime.
Which, and this, I think, like, this is a segue into, like, this is a bit off subject, but not really. The best part of both Avengers movies has actually not been the fights. It's not been the villains. It's been the points when the characters actually had a chance to really talk. Had a chance to really interact. And the two moments in Age of Ultron when they really got a chance to do that was at the Avengers Tower, with the fight as they're talking about Thor's hammer, which was hilarious.
Gosh.
I have thoughts on that scene later.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of thoughts, I'm sure. And the other one was at the farmhouse. And I couldn't help but think while they're at the farmhouse is, you know what movie I really want to see? It's just a series of clips of just the Avengers in their day-to-day life. Like Steve Rogers going on a date and being terrible at it.
So you want a Marvel movie directed by Kevin Smith?
Yes, actually, I do. I want to see that.
Anyway,
I want to see Tony Stark and Pepper Potts arguing for 20 minutes about the next house they're going to get because Pepper doesn't want it just getting blown up again.
So back to Hawkeye. I thought that he was one of the strongest points of this movie, and that he was the most well-rounded character, especially once you get to that farm scene. And then, honestly, people were giving crap about him on the internet. I've seen a couple memes about how he had to give a pep talk to the Scarlet Witch. Really? I mean, come on. To me, he seemed like the most relatable guy at that instance. That he saw somebody who was having an issue, gave them the talk, like, look, if you need to fight, stay here. I'll come get your brother. If you want to fight, let's fight, but you're an Avenger. You're with us. And he's the one who equalizes her to the rest of them. And all of his quips against Quicksilver, love them.
Yeah.
So Hawkeye is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
I'll give you your points about Hawkeye. I think it's just because I'm so used to seeing like your main characters, your main heroes in a movie being broken in some sort of way, and Hawkeye isn't. He just has his life together and has it figured out, and that's not something you're used to seeing in a movie. So maybe that's my issue.
And it's not to say he's not dealing with anything, because I love the conversation between him and his wife, where he's like, or where she's like, I don't know if you should. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, I don't know if you should still be doing this. Like, and she's looking out at Steve and Tony, was like calling them gods that he's walking around or fighting with.
No. Specifically, she said, he says she gives her a look, and he says, "Listen, they need me," and he says, "No, that's what I'm scared about. These guys are gods, and look at them, they're a mess."
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about. They were talking about that before. Remember, right before you get to that scene, they have. Okay, I'm gonna have to go watch it again so I can get the.
Pretty much
right.
the conversation came down to is that he wasn't sure if they needed him because he wasn't powerful enough, and she said they need you because of who you are, and I think it's everything else to do with him. Which I just want to say that people were talking about the stakes later on. I think it makes the stakes so much more meaningful whenever he grabs that kid and turns his back to ready to just take all those bullets, especially once you've seen his life. It makes him being the spy so much more powerful.
Yeah, because this is something that I will give Josh Whedon this. It's sad, but it's true. The only other members of the Avengers who have something to lose, Thor, Tony Stark, and Hawkeye. Those three, they have stuff to lose. They have people to go home to. Right. Hulk, Black Widow, Captain America have nothing. They have nothing to lose. Their sacrifices don't hurt as much because no one will be crying about them dying as much as if Tony, Thor, or Hawkeye died. And it really hurts to put it in those terms, but yeah.
All right, so let's move on to other characters. What other characters or other events or plots do y'all feel that we need to talk about?
Can I talk about Vision real quick?
Yep,
go for it.
Please.
So, I kept thinking about how genius the hammer scene was, because you're not thinking about it at the time. Like, okay, this is cool, and you're seeing this is what they would do. They would joke around, and like, I think Trevor was saying it best. Like, they would joke around and play around. Like, this is a conversation that's probably happened before. Like, so this is nothing new. It's just cool to see it on screen that they would have this conversation about the hammer. And it's fun for us and leads to Ultron on screen. But then you don't have a lot of time because the movie's like reaching its end. You're about to have the last battle, and you introduce Vision, and there's been all these questions of trust the entire movie. Like, Tony's broken their trust. They don't know if they can trust this creation that was spawned by Ultron.
They can't trust Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, you can't trust anybody, and it's like, what can you do that's gonna really quickly squash this like a bug? He grabs the hammer, and while
he picks it up and just hands it to him.
And while I'm laughing, like going back and watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, how awesome was that?
It really was the perfect way to just instantly create trust in Vision.
Yep. Yeah. No, that was cool. Like, that was just so very good on so many levels. Well done.
Yeah, I just, from Vision's inception, not even necessarily understanding what just happened when he was made, because it was just really confusing. You have this thing sitting there, and all of a sudden, like, Thor comes down and slams his hammer on it and energizes it and finishes making it, and you're like, what's going on? And then, of all the things to occur, just the fact that the hammer was the thing. And the fact that that's like a thing they continue talking about later on in the movie, and they're trying to figure out what exactly is Vision.
Yeah, because if you put the hammer in the elevator, it'll raise. Yeah. That doesn't mean the elevator's worthy.
And then the question is, how does that play out later on in the series now?
Because I've been waiting for that moment to strike. I was hoping that nobody was going to pick up the hammer at all, and then Avengers 3 or 4, Cap picks it up.
That would have been good.
Because during that scene, the only one who moves it at all is Cap. He nudges it just a little bit.
Thor's face was just perfect for that when it budged a little bit.
And then his whew.
Oh yeah.
Because I did not know how I was going to explain that.
Because I'm guessing it'll come down to a moment where, like, the whole world is going to hell, and at that moment, Odin will deem Cap worthy.
Yeah, that would have been good, but I kind of like the Vision thing, especially given the fact that he has an Infinity Stone. Like, what does that mean?
It also, well, I mean, Vision is terrifyingly powerful the way they've built him up, because he's got the Mind Stone built in, so presumably he has the ability to control people's minds. And 2, he's made of living vibranium.
And he can fly. And
Yeah,
he can change his density to where he can put his arm through someone and then rip them open.
So I'm thinking
apparently he can create matter.
Be pretty baller in later movies.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a heavy hitter that they can keep for the next movie or that next team that's coming up.
Which now I have to see if he's going to be in Captain America 3.
I don't think he is.
I mean,
So
he's an Avenger, and they're training the Avengers now.
I just want to say, like, I'm kind of disappointed with Hulk in this movie. Like, mainly character-wise, he stayed in the same place that he was throughout the entire thing. Okay,
Yeah.
they added some flirtation with Black Widow. Good, I like that. That's a little added thing. But the fact is, he still never changes from, I can't do anything, I'm in hiding. I'm just going to sit here and hide because I'm a coward. And then at the end of the movie, he runs off on his own. And then his scene with the Hulkbuster was amazing. You know, they do great action pieces with the Hulk. But then at the very end of the movie, and I'm guessing there is an extra 20 minutes that he cut out. Like, it's supposed to be like 20 minutes longer that he's going to come out with a Blu-ray edition of, an extended edition. But if you notice, they do the conversation between Scarlet, or I keep saying Scarlet, but Black Widow and Hulk, and she throws him into the freaking hole, and then he disappears for the rest of the movie. He makes his appearance like 1 or 2 times.
Yep.
Which I know you got so many characters going on at once, but it seems like if you're going to make this long, drawn-out deal about Black Widow making Hulk out, it doesn't make any sense as to why you're not going to utilize that afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. I guess I'll need to go back and see the screen time that happened there, because it seems like, because they had been fighting on the island for a good little bit, or sorry, on the floating piece of Earth for a good little bit before he actually gets on there. So then I guess I question that as far as the director, why'd you cut it in that way? But as far as the time they would have had to be able to squeeze him in once he gets on it is not a lot, because the battle's starting to wrap up once the thing's in the air. Like it's actually not a whole lot of screen time with it in the air.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got these are the people who are going to be appearing in Captain America Civil War. And yes, I had to look it up this entire time.
Ooh.
So, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Black Panther, Black Widow, Iron Man, Hawkeye, and there are unconfirmed reports that Vision, War Machine, Ant-Man, and Scarlet Witch will appear, as well as the currently known villains Baron Zemo and Crossbones.
And you're leaving off the biggest name of the whole thing here.
And Spider-Man
Boom, baby!
was a last-minute addition. But the addition of Spider-Man does potentially throw off the roster a bit.
Yeah.
So pretty much the entire roster of Avengers is in the next Captain America.
Everybody but Thor and Hulk.
Which, that's the whole point, as I think, from
That makes sense.
the end of the movie, is that Thor, I don't know if he's quit the Avengers, but it seems like he's going off to do his own thing. He's got to go back to Asgard for a while. And
Yes.
Hulk has gone missing.
And I feel like Hulk stuff was cut, and from everything I'm seeing, a lot of Hulk stuff was cut due to time constraints in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that Kevin Feige and Marvel, and I think this is something they sort of had some tension about, they wanted to get Hulk out of the mix for a bit. And they wanted to keep that sort of an open question as to where he is. Because if Hulk is around for the events of Civil War, that he's such a powerful character that he immediately tilts the balance one way or another.
Yeah.
And the entire movie becomes about him.
Yeah, that makes it good.
And they've said, apparently, that what it comes down to, the reason why they can't make a Hulk movie is they have the rights to the Hulk character, but they don't have the rights to a solo Hulk film.
Yep. Universal owns them.
So, unless they want to strike a deal with that again, we're going to be out of a Hulk film for a while.
But honestly, like, the only Hulk film I would be willing to even watch and want to watch is Planet Hulk.
Yeah, that's the one everybody wants to see.
Every other Hulk movie would be with the Avengers.
Seems we've lost Jerry. Moving on.
And I think the other two, I think he's only, at least Ruffalo's only signed up for 2 more movies.
No, I think the last interview I said he was on for 4.
4?
Yeah, 4 more films.
He was originally signed up for 9 movies.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's got some movies to go.
Sorry. Never mind.
Yeah. So they're going to be able to keep him around for a while. And he's not going to have the same problem as Robert Downey Jr. because all of his, like, he doesn't have to do his own stunts because it's all CGI work.
Well, the thing with Robert Downey Jr. is RDJ is the centerpiece of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Ruffalo is not. Ruffalo is a decent addition, and I think people care, but he's not going to be able to negotiate the way RDJ is.
Yep.
So they can get him way cheaper than RDJ, and they can keep paying him.
Yeah. Which, I mean, gosh, they pay him so much money. He made $50 million off of the first Avengers alone.
I don't doubt that.
Wow.
Yeah. So they are paying him a lot.
So, okay, let's talk about this new roster, new Avengers, the new Avenger roster, and where everybody's at. So we got, who's on the team? Cap, Black Widow, Falcon, War Machine, Vision
and Scarlet Witch.
and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad team.
No, not a bad team at all. I mean, they've got some, like, Vision and Scarlet Witch are some very serious heavy hitters. And I love Don Cheadle. I love Don Cheadle and everything he does. I never not love Don Cheadle.
Yeah. As far as comparison and powers, people had said, shoot, where was that article I was reading? They said Scarlet Witch is switching out for Hulk, at least if you can think about the powers and what she wields.
And Vision's switching out for Thor.
Yeah. Obviously War Machine for Tony, and then Falcon for Hawkeye.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, Falcon's a pretty down-to-earth, normal guy. I could see that.
Which, if this is his ride off into the sunset, I kind of wish they would have, but it's not, because he'll be back in Captain America Civil War.
Yep.
So I kind of wish that they would have done a little bit more to his retirement, other than like, yeah, Barton retired, and that's it. So if it was him going off into the sunset and him being done, I kind of wish they'd done something. But I don't understand Tony Stark's position here. I don't get it.
Okay. What do you mean in the upcoming Civil War or in this movie?
No, in this movie, at the very end, he's like, yeah, I'm going to retire, pull up Barton, maybe build a house. You know, he pretty much says that he's quit. He's done.
Yeah, and I don't understand why he quit.
Exactly. There's no reasoning behind it, because if you're the guy who just tried to take over, like, with your whole control scheme of an artificial intelligence, and clearly you can't be hands-off, and you've shown no change over the film where you're allowing yourself to be hands-off, especially when you go behind everybody's back and make Vision, it makes no sense whatsoever for you to be like, okay, now I'm hands-off.
Well, you know, maybe he was lying.
It's true. It just doesn't make sense for his character to be wanting to retire right now.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe he's decided he's going off on his own so that he can build what he thinks is necessary, free from the interference of the other Avengers.
That's possible. That's more likely, too.
I could see Tony doing that. Which, all right, my favorite moment of the movie, though, y'all may disagree, y'all may agree, was the Iron Man Hulk fight.
Oh, it was great.
It's awesome.
I absolutely loved that fight, mainly because, one, Robert Downey Jr.'s banter during that entire time was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it when he got one really good hit on Hulk and Hulk spit a tooth out. And Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark goes, "Oh, I'm sorry.
And the whole go to sleep thing, whenever he's like rapidly punching Hulk in the face, he's like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. That's what the great thing about Marvel is they do the little quips the entire time, the witty banner. They fill it up with fun moments.
And see, what I really love about that is if I was Tony Stark fighting the Hulk and he kept trashing armor I built specifically to beat the Hulk, I would be saying the same thing. Like, oh dear God, please go to sleep.
I do love that during the second viewing of it, I was able to notice that they had a conversation earlier when they're talking about making Ultron. They have a conversation about Veronica. Yep. So Hulk was fully aware that he knew that there was a Hulkbuster armor out there.
Yep. I mean, Mark Ruffalo helped him build it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, like, I actually, like, covered my mouth when Tony Stark brought a skyscraper down on him.
Oh, and I love the little jab towards Man of Steel on that one.
Oh, yeah. That was...
Which, actually, let's talk about that for a second. For one thing...
Oh, God.
No. I'm not going to sit here and trash Man of Steel again for like an hour. Okay, so here's the deal. They do the whole moment. He's scanning the tower. There's nobody in it. So he throws him down inside. Not only throughout this entire fight, he's actually saving people, like the elevator scene, like whenever he reaches out there and grabs the elevator. But the entire finale of the movie, the entire main point, is saving people from the island.
Yep.
So they're actually being heroes. So thank you, Marvel, for recognizing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was a really good one. On them, but even like, and I don't even think that was a direct snub at Man of Steel, because even in the first Avengers, half the team broke off. One half of them was fighting the aliens, the other half was pushing the civilians back away from the battleground.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most of that battle, they're just sitting there fighting, but there's a lot of moments in there in between where they're saving people.
Well, Cap says in Avengers, or the first one, he's like, let's keep the fight down here on the ground, when he's talking to, not Scarlet Witch. Dang it, I keep wanting to say it. Black Widow. He's like, that's the reason they were down on the ground. Not just so he could command the fight, but so that their attention would be drawn on some people on the ground.
Yep. So, I normally, a lot of people are saying that they felt Black Widow her treatment was very misogynistic, that it was not very fair. I mean, she's behind the bar, serving drinks when everybody else is talking. Now she's part of a love interest, whereas previously in the last Avenger, that was only somewhat hinted in between her and Hawkeye, and then clearly nixed in this movie. My issue, and normally that would bother me, but for Black Widow, I could see her tending bar because it would force everybody to interact with her, but it would give her control of that social situation. With her romance with Hulk, she saw somebody she could actually identify with, unlike all the other Avengers. She felt like she was talking to a monster, and she felt that way about herself. I really liked it. I didn't think it was being patronizing or demeaning to women. I'm trying to find other nerd ladies to talk to confirm or deny my suspicion, but I suspect this is people being overly sensitive and wanting to just rage on Age of Ultron for the sake of it.
That people who want to be pissed off about a certain thing will find reasons to be pissed off about it, and they'll point at something and be like, that's big, that's new, we're going to be pissed off at that thing. All right, moving on.
Oh, God.
Shouldn't be laughing at that, but...
You're welcome, Kenny. That's your chuckle for the day.
Are there any other points about Age of Ultron that anybody wants to make?
I guess I'm just worried, like, going forward, of how do you keep the quality up with so many moving parts?
Yeah.
Because it's only going to get worse as far as what you have to manage when you get to Infinity Wars. And actually, here's a good question. Who's directing Civil War? Is it the Russo brothers?
Russo brothers.
Yeah,
Same guys that are directing Avengers 3 and 4.
Okay.
Which, good thing about them doing Captain America 3 and then the Infinity Wars is that Captain America 3 is being is basically Avengers 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll sort of let them dip their toes in the pool to get used to dealing with that many moving parts.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking is that if since they're the ones doing that, hopefully they can take some lessons from however that will shake out and then apply it to Infinity Wars.
Yeah,
Because they're filming them back to back, correct?
I think so. Okay, so I had this conversation with Kyle the other day. I think Kenny was there and a few other people when talking about how Infinity Wars will be awesome because they're going to use it as an opportunity to kill off a bunch of characters. I am 100% positive that if they will kill off characters, they will be characters who have never had a title movie. So they will not kill off any of those characters.
You think they won't kill off Cap?
I think they will only kill off Cap if they cannot sign Chris Evans for another movie. And even then, I think they'll want to recast him instead. I'm gonna say it now. Phase 4 is going to be all of them making a bunch of different Avengers movies with different Avengers teams. That's what I'm calling.
I'd see some of that, and then the sequels to this next batch. If they do like I don't think they're going to do an Ant-Man 2.
Oh God, please!
I'd be surprised. I mean, this movie might be great. I just don't see it carrying like a trilogy out. So I think it's probably just a one shot. But yeah, I wouldn't. I probably.
I could see them making a sequel out of Inhumans and Captain Marvel.
Okay. Let's see, and maybe Black Panther and Doctor Strange, but I don't know. That still might be a one. Those two still might be one shots.
Yeah. We're already talking all the way out to 2020, so I mean, there's plenty of.
That's true.
Plenty of room afterwards.
Like, and they're not going to have to they're not really going to have to finalize Phase 4. They're scheduling for that until 2019.
Yeah. So I guess if your Avenger theory is like there'll still be every couple of years before an Avenger movie comes out, though, even if it's new teams, then yeah, I could see that happening. I just feel like if there's a lot, that might be a little bit too much on the summer slate.
I'd say it's probably not another Avengers until 2022, 23.
Nah, I mean, I'm thinking they're going to... Because look at how much money the Avengers movies are making.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the logical step is to break up all these properties into smaller Avengers teams. I mean, that's what they did in the comics. They built like 15 different Avengers teams.
For the most part, it was one Avengers team, and then you had West Coast Avengers. But then in the 2000s, you had... at one point, you had the Avengers. You had the New Avengers, Captain America's branch-off team, the Street Heroes. You had the Mighty Avengers. And then you had Dark Avengers, you had Secret Avengers, you had Young Avengers. So they've got enough Avengers to go around.
Yeah, if I was in that boardroom, I'd probably be thinking reevaluating it by 2019 to see how they want to branch that off. So if that's the thought that they're having now, they'll probably reevaluate it once the second movie gets done. Just because if I'm thinking about the core team that's made it up, I guess they need to see how successful those characters are in either their solo movies or their or being in the Avenger movie before they start breaking them up and having them support their own movie. Or else they're just going to end up diluting it, and then they won't have anything good to show after 2019.
That's true. Oh, and Spider-Man will definitely get a sequel.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We know that. We can say that without even knowing anything about the Spider-Man movie they're making. The only thing I know about the new Spider-Man movie that is coming out is that their working title, this hasn't even been finalized, their working title is Spider-Man the New Avenger. And even then, I know it will get a sequel.
Dang it.
Yep.
Hopefully it'll be good.
Hopefully.
And then there's a Spider-Man cartoon movie, too.
That's right. I forgot about that.
What?
Yeah, Sony's going to do their own series off on the side of a animated Spider-Man, and it's going to be done by the Lego Movie guys.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, that could be good.
All right. So, any other thoughts on Age of Ultron or Marvel?
I can't believe they didn't say assemble.
Yeah, I kind of liked that they didn't.
I didn't care one way or another.
I think we're going to get it eventually.
He teased me so hard.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, you thinking at the end of Infinity Wars Part 1, when everything's falling apart, either Cap or Tony's gonna send out Avengers Assemble, and everybody's gonna like come out.
Hopefully. Which, okay, where do you think the Hulk is?
I honestly don't think Marvel knows where the Hulk is. I think they just want him off the field for a bit, and then he'll show up in one of those random properties, or he'll show up in Infinity Wars Part 1.
Like, I know it's not going to happen this way, but I'm secretly hoping that he's in space, he went to space, and that thing they found in the water, because they said they can't track his plane, is actually Namor. So it's Namor down there in the water.
Ah!
And they're tracking the wrong guy, and Hulk is in space.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I know, but it's just what I hope.
See, I would like for him to show up in like some random movie, like in one of like those one shots that they're doing. Like, I would love for him to show up in a property that he absolutely doesn't make sense for, like the Doctor Strange movie.
Which I think that's where the Soul Gem will come into play.
Yeah, that will be too. I have no idea when they're going. Well, no, actually, I think the Soul Gem, because isn't he closely associated with Adam Warlock?
The Soul Gem?
Yeah.
I don't know much about Adam Warlock.
Because that's one of the strong rumors about Guardians of the Galaxy, too, that he's going to show up. Adam Warlock.
Well, and there's still the Time Gem out there, and who knows when they'll make time for that.
Well, they've got plenty of movies to work in two more gems.
Yep. They keep showing up at left and right, so.
Oh, another thing. So when Thanos picks up the gauntlet and puts it on, I don't know if any of y'all remember that, but you remember from the first Thor, they showed the Infinity Gauntlet, and
that's what I was. Oh, sorry, dang it.
Yeah, they showed it in Thor's or in Asgard's vault.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Feige has gone on the record saying that is not the same gauntlet. So there are two Infinity Gauntlets out there.
The one Thanos picked up was left-handed. The one in the vault was right-handed.
Correct. So no idea what. So that like completely confuses me as to what the Infinity Gauntlet is, its purpose, or the fact that maybe there are 12 gems out there.
Who knows?
Oh gosh.
They could introduce a new gem every movie.
I think they're already pushing the limit right now. Thanos has the glove. Hopefully he's finally going to show up during Infinity Wars.
I mean, it would be nice for him to show up as a villain in some movie other than Infinity Wars.
Maybe Guardians again.
I would like that. I would like for him to actually be the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy.
And they're going to have to do something, to make him just the all-out most baddest villain in the galaxy.
Yeah, because right now he's just some guy that gets betrayed a lot.
Yeah. Like, Loki isn't the most powerful, but he had an army, and that was great.
Yeah. But then Guardians of the Galaxy made him look really pansy-like, and, was he responsible for Ultron?
Who? Tony?
Thanos?
Yeah, that's why I thought that comment, while it was cool seeing him on screen again, but that's why I thought that comment was kind of stupid. I was like, what have you actually been doing, the last couple movies to be pressing your agenda? Because it really hasn't looked like you've been doing a whole lot other than sitting in your chair. So I kind of didn't like that. And I thought it was one of the weakest end credit scenes we've had.
Because they had, who was it? Guardians of the Galaxy, they had, who was the villain? I can't think of his name.
Ronan.
So he was trying to get a gem in that one.
But he got betrayed by literally every one of his flunkies in that movie.
Yeah.
But
then again, he gave a stone to Loki inside the scepter.
That's true.
So he had one, and he gave it to Loki.
I'm almost curious. I wonder if he knew it was in there. You'd think he would know, but...
He had to know it was some piece of power, because he gave the scepter to Loki for a reason.
Well, now, it's possible he gave Loki the scepter and didn't tell Loki what was powering the scepter.
That's true, too.
That's what I would have done.
It definitely makes that helicarrier scene make a whole lot more sense.
Yep.
The one where they're talking about, the the powering of the scepter and how it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you knew the scepter was doing something in that room, or Loki was like doing something behind the scenes of that. But now that you know what was inside it the entire time, it's like,
Well, I mean, everybody had been thinking for a while that it was the mind gem. Because I remember having conversations thinking that the mind gem was inside the scepter the whole time.
But yeah, I felt like I didn't hear that from the beginning though, and it seemed like it was a year or two after Avengers until we actually started having that theory be kind of solid.
Because then again, the Tesseract wasn't obvious that it was actually one of the stones. Because in the books they're separate. The Cosmic Cube and one of the Infinity Stones are completely different.
Yep.
Yeah.
And where is Red Skull? I'm waiting for him to show back up.
Dude, yeah.
This is absolutely what they're not going to do, but this is what I want, is that Thanos and Red Skull are the same person.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
They're not going to do that, but I want that.
There were rumors that the bad guy in Captain America Winter Soldier was actually Red Skull wearing a skin mask.
Yeah, that Robert Redford was really Red Skull.
Nah, that didn't happen, but it would have been cool.
That would have been awesome.
What's up with Hydra looking like a bunch of little punks?
Yeah, like Baron von Strucker, like he was a throwaway villain. He was nothing.
I thought he was going to be a bigger deal.
Yeah, nope. They slapped him around.
2 movies about a Hydra is enough, apparently.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, and they're going to still be around in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they might show up in Captain America Winter Soldier.
I'm not sure what this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, but...
It's good, dang it.
Oh gosh, that brings up a whole nother conversation.
What?
Because Avengers so far seems to be ignoring S.H.I.E.L.D. So I'm wondering, like, obviously Avengers is affecting Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but there doesn't seem to be the other way around.
Well, that was apparently one of the points of contention between Joss Whedon and Kevin Feige.
Yep.
Is that a bunch of people were saying, why are you not making a deal about Agent Coulson? Why isn't he around? And he didn't want to make you watch the movie, then watch the TV show, then come back and watch the movie. He just wanted one line of a linear continuity in the films that you can just watch and appreciate. And to be honest, it wouldn't have made much sense for Coulson to show up and be like, hey, yeah, remember y'all got together because I died, well, I'm back now, and then we got to talk about Tahiti and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it would have turned... Agent Coulson's reappearance in Age of Ultron would have absolutely hijacked a good 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, they had no time for that. Like, it was not going to work.
But, fun story, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the helicarrier, that whole thing, that was a plot point in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Was it really?
Yep.
Okay.
So, like, that was, like, what, like, because Coulson had been working on something all season long, but had not been telling anybody about it, and it was him rebuilding the helicarrier to use in the event of an extreme emergency.
Yeah, that would qualify.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, any final thoughts on Avengers?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, good.
All right, this has been State of the Nerd Union. The 3 people with the internet who still maintains connection throughout the entire thing.
Oh, man.
Jerry, it's okay. We'll get you on this next one.
We love you, Jerry.
It's truthful, but it's hurtful.
We'll get you on this next one, Jerry Bear. This has been Kenneth Ship, Trevor Law, and Zach Nichols saying, we love us some Marvel movies, but I think we've talked about it enough, and we're going to talk about something else next week. Good night.
Yes. Anything else?